This is Inside Indiana Business Radio for the afternoon of Tuesday, January 20th, 2026. I'm Alex Brown. Last summer, Timothy Burke was appointed President and Chief Operating Officer of Evansville-based Old National Bank. In a Q&A with Inside Indiana Business, Burke said the bank is ready to move forward after completing the integration of Bremer Bank in Minnesota, which it acquired for $1.4 billion.
Now that we've fully integrated Bremer and that's behind us and we're kind of going to market as one unified team, we look at 2026 as just a great opportunity to take a breath from the partnerships and really lean into more fully engaging and investing in ourselves and investing in our core primary growth markets and making sure that we can deliver the breadth of the services that the market needs. And when I talk to the team about that, they're super excited about leaning in, investing in ourselves and really driving strong organic growth in the markets that we currently serve.
You can read the full Q&A at InsideIndianaBusiness.com. Indianapolis-based Cunningham Restaurant Group has set February 2nd as the opening date for its new restaurant and events center at Discovery Park District near the Purdue University campus. The Lawrence Restaurant and Events is located inside a restored 1930s barn donated by Sonny Beck, owner of Beck's Hybrids. Minnetrista Museum and Gardens in Muncie will shift to a dual leadership model starting this month. Under the new structure, Brian Statz will continue serving as CEO, and Lindsay Horan has been named president. Leaders said the move will strengthen the organization's strategic capacity and support long-term growth. From the number one source for Indiana business news, this is Inside Indiana Business Radio.
Thanks for listening to this IBJ Media podcast. You're probably going to remember this ad. Do you know why? Podcast advertising works. 85% of listeners recalled hearing an ad during a podcast, and 70% of podcast listeners have acted after hearing an ad. So whether you're looking to be heard across the entire IBJ Media podcast network, sponsor one of our shows, or just start with a 30-second ad, IBJ Media can help. Contact advertise@ibj.com to learn more.
A key finance panel on Tuesday inserted a one-year state income tax break on overtime and tips for Hoosier workers. IIB's Aubriana Herron has more.
Republican Senator Travis Holdman of Markle says the amendment would cost the state $251 million in tax revenue, and that loss will be covered by the growing state surplus. Holdman, who chairs the Senate Tax and Fiscal Policy Committee, said it applies to 2026 wages on tax returns filed in 2027. He noted that the policy would be for just 1 year until it was clear if the state can afford to continue it further. Lawmakers will decide during budget negotiations in 2027 whether to make it permanent. The amendment was inserted into Senate Bill 243, which passed 11-1. It now moves to the Senate floor. The amendment would couple Indiana's tax code to federal tax code with regard to no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on loan interest for American-made vehicles passed in the One Big Beautiful Bill that President Donald Trump pushed through Congress last summer. But it also cuts close to opening the current 2-year budget, which Governor Mike Braun and Republican legislative leaders have said they wouldn't do. Democratic Senator Andrea Hunley of Indianapolis voted against the bill after noting that Indiana continues to have a tax on period products, even though it would only cost the state $5 million. Aubriana Herron, Inside Indiana Business Radio.
Katz, Sapper & Miller, the largest accounting firm in Indianapolis, announced Tuesday that it has added a new line of business to its offerings by acquiring a Michigan-based investment banking team. KSM closed last week on the acquisition of Grand Rapids-based Charter Capital Partners investment banking business, which specializes in sell-side transactions, representing companies that are looking to be acquired. It will be the first Michigan office for KSM, which also has offices in Evansville, Fort Wayne, Chicago, Cincinnati, and New York City. As the Indiana General Assembly resumed this year's session on Tuesday, the Indiana Chamber of Commerce is pushing its priorities, which include a focus on early education and workforce, says Chamber President and CEO Vanessa Green-Cinders.
We hear a lot about childcare and early learning and lack of access, so there's some efforts moving at the Statehouse to work on that. Work-based learning, skilling up the next generation of workers. How do we reduce friction and get employers doing more work-based learning?
Cinders said the chamber is also supportive of House Bill 1315, which could force hundreds of township governments throughout Indiana to consolidate. Former Indianapolis Mayor Greg Ballard is this week's guest on the Business and Beyond podcast with Gary Dick, presented by PNC, a weekly conversation with high-profile Hoosiers in business, sports and entertainment, and beyond. Available now on the IBJ Media app or your favorite podcast provider. I'm Alex Brown for Inside Indiana Business Radio on Demand.